For ages, the Vatican has towered as a radiant citadel of devotion and purity. Yet within its limestone embrace, bathed in the amber fire of dusk secrets, whisper veiled truths too sacred for mortal eyes. From holy texts torn from the Bible's heart to a grim trial of a man long returned to dust, from strange lights weaving above the basilica's crown to prophecies cloaked in shadow, these mysteries lie entombed in a silent vow. What enigmas lurk beneath this sacred shroud? Let us embark on a quest to unveil them in today's tale. Buckle up for a plunge into the abyss of wonder. But first, let fortune's favor shine upon you. Like and subscribe before this journey fades. The Lost Scriptures. The Bible, a divine tapestry woven through time, stands as the unshakable bedrock of Christian faith. Yet few perceive that the sacred volume clasped by millions is but a ghost of its former glory. In 1611, when the Bible's Latin roots bloomed into English, it cradled 80 hallowed books. By 1684, the Vatican, with a hush decree, banished 14, leaving no trace of reason. That silence echoes still. These exiled writings, known as the Apocrypha Greek for hidden-born names, like Esdras Tobit, Judith, the Wisdom of Solomon Bell, and the Dragon, and the Prayer of Manasseh, once cherished as divine whispers, they were cast from the altar of accepted belief. The Church's mute stance has spun a web of whispers. Some say these texts, tangled in complexity, strayed from the path the Vatican carved for its flock. Others murmur of darker motives, that these writings held truths too bold for the powers of their day, swept away to bind God's word to a single church-forged hymn. A curious shadow deepens the riddle. Before their banishment, Jesus' name was etched as Jesus. Later, its form and cadence shifted, and the ancient echo, perhaps, Yahushua, slipped like morning mist from sacred life. What stirred this silent purge? Why were these holy words veiled? Does the Vatican guard a truth too vast for the world? After centuries, the question lingers, a locked gate in time's vast hall, hidden corridors, and celestial guests. Some tales, though unproven, dance through time on the breath of storytellers. One such legend speaks of Professor Henry Ludwig, a Russian sage of the early 20th century. Lore passed like a fragile flame claims he was among the rare souls to tread the Vatican's secret archives, a cavernous labyrinth where millennia of forbidden wisdom slumbers. Ludwig spoke of shelves stretching over 85 kilometers, groaning beneath the weight of over 35,000 volumes. Letters, chronicles, and records weaving 12 centuries of Europe's saga. Yet within those shadowed aisles, more than tales of wars or papal reigns awaited. He claimed to have unearthed manuscripts that unveiled a cosmic truth. Beings from distant stars had woven their threads into the tapestry of ancient civilizations. He read of ethereal presences in Egypt's cradle, the Maya's ascent, and the Sumerian lands where cities rose like dreams. These revelations, locked in the Vatican's embrace, stir the soul to wonder. Were we shaped by hands beyond our skies? One ancient manuscript unveiled a weapon so cataclysmic it could dissolve Babylon's stone ramparts, a force that modern scholars likened to the fury of nuclear fire. Yet Ludwig swore he was forbidden to carry any relic from the Vatican's sacred vaults. Thus his words alone bear this cosmic tale to the world. Skeptics scoff, branding it a fanciful mirage, a tale spun to dazzle the gullible. But when we ponder humanity's swift ascent, how Sumerians, once mere wanderers of the wild, birthed fortified cities, intricate waterways, and a script that sang of stars, it stirs the soul. Were we touched by unseen hands? If the Vatican cradles such truths, perhaps it guards not mere secrets, but the very spark of our civilization's dawn. A shadow stirs within the Vatican's hallowed halls. Through time, the clash of light and dark has been painted as holy crusades, angels wrestling demons in celestial strife. Yet who could fathom that the strangest battleground lies deep within the Vatican itself, a sanctuary hailed as the last bastion of divine radiance? If Father Gabriel Amorth's words ring true, then darkness itself once slithered into Earth's most sacred heart. No myth, Amorth was flesh and blood, the Vatican's chief exorcist for 25 years, claiming to have waged over 70,000 battles against the infernal. His humble office, perched on the third floor of an ancient Vatican edifice, welcomed countless tormented souls. Vessels, he believed, were gripped by demonic claws, In a 2010 interview with La Repubblica, Amorth bared his soul, proclaiming the devil not a mere metaphor, but a cunning entity, cloaked in intellect, fluent in tongues, adept at masquerade, and sly enough to lurk where mortals least suspect. He swore demonic forces breached the Vatican's sanctity twice. First in 1981, he saw Satan's hand in a sinister assault on Pope John Paul II, a plot to shatter the Church's holy quest. The second breach came on Christmas Eve 2008, when Susanna Maiolo, of Swiss and Italian blood, lunged at Pope Benedict XVI during midnight mass, a chaotic moment etched in the glare of countless cameras. Though halted by the Swiss Guard, her act ignited fierce debate. She returned on Christmas Eve 2009 this time, toppling the Pope amid the sacred rite. Many deemed her mind unwell, but Amorth was unshaken. She was a pawn wielded by a malevolent shadow. Believe him or not, the truth endures. A revered priest devoted his life to dueling unseen foes, convinced humanity's greatest adversary had already breached the Church's gates. Prophecies sealed in iron vaults. If you see the Vatican as merely a hub of sacred governance, you've glimpsed but the crest of a colossal iceberg. Beneath its solemn stone and ancient arches lies a timeless sentinel guarding revelations that could reshape humanity's gaze toward tomorrow. Among the Vatican's veiled enigmas, the three secrets of Fatima cast the darkest spell. On May 13, 1917, in a quiet Portuguese hamlet, three shepherd children, Lucia, Jacinta, and Francisco, claimed a vision of the Virgin Mary radiant as a star. Over months, they swore she appeared 6 times, entrusting them with 3 sacred secrets. In 1941, Lucia, the sole survivor, unveiled the first 2 to the Vatican. The first was a harrowing glimpse of hell where souls writhed in eternal flames. The second foretold doom unless humanity repented. A second world war would blaze after the first, a prophecy grimly fulfilled. But the third secret held the world in suspense. In 1943, Lucia penned it, sealing it in an envelope to be opened in 1960, a year she deemed fitting. Yet when that time came, the Vatican declared it trivial, locking its words away, leaving hearts to wonder what truths lay silenced in the dark. Nearly 4 decades later, in the year 2000, the Vatican unveiled the third secret's message, a harrowing vision of Christian martyrdom, a pope struck down, and priests falling like leaves amid the slain. Yet scholars, theologians, and devout Catholics whisper that this was not Lucia's true script. They claim the Vatican cloaked the original weaving, a gentler tale to shield the faithful from upheaval and preserve the pillars of sacred authority. Rumors swirled that the hidden prophecy foretold the Church's inward collapse or a spiritual tempest engulfing the globe. To this day, Lucia's original manuscript remains veiled, and a restless question haunts the curious. What was truly spoken in 1917? Why did the Vatican embrace silence before a revelation that could tremble the faith of millions? The lost gospel and Jesus's untold tale. In today's Bible, Jesus's life shines as a sacred odyssey from his humble birth in a manger to his sacrifice on the cross. Yet a 30-year chasm yawns barely whispered of. Where did he wander? How did he live? What truths lie in those unchronicled years? A 6th century manuscript preserved in Syriac and unearthed in the British Library may hold a fragment of the answer. This text, believed to be a forgotten gospel, paints Jesus through a startlingly new lens. Far from the pulpit's familiar hymns, it portrays him not only as the Messiah, but as a man of flesh, stirred by mortal passions. The manuscript claims he loved Mary Magdalene, wed her, and fathered children. It casts her not as a mere follower, but as God's daughter, a co-redeemer, standing shoulder to shoulder with Jesus. Such words challenge the Vatican's crafted image of Jesus as a flawless celestial figure, untouched by human desires, threatening a faith forged over millennia. If true, this text shatters theological bedrock, offering a warmer, more human glimpse of the man at Christianity's heart. Yet scholars remain divided on its truth. Some deem it apocryphal, the work of a heretical sect, while others see it as a buried memory, erased by those who sought to chain faith to their will. On a June day in 2007, the skies above St. Peter's Square blazed with an omen, a radiant disc-shaped orb, cloaked in silvery orange light, hovering silently over the basilica's dome. No mirage, it was beheld by many, yet vanished in moments, leaving no hum of engines or trace of steel. Perfectly rounded, glowed like a star, poised as if watching the world below. A few raised phones capturing fleeting images that flickered across digital realms before fading into shadow. For those who remember, a question echoes like a restless wind. If this was a craft from beyond, why did it grace the Vatican's sacred soil? Perhaps the answer lies in the Vatican's ancient secrets, a cosmic tryst written in the stars. If other civilizations exist, the Vatican, keeper of faith and metaphysical lore, may have known their whispers for ages. This idea may seem wild, yet history murmurs that what ancients called divine might be what we name extraterrestrial. The sacred vault and its unyielding walls. At Vatican City's core lies a fortress of shadows, hailed as Earth's most guarded secret, not St. Peter's crypt, nor the museum's gilded halls, but a subterranean bastion where only a select few scholars, over 75 with unblemished records, may tread the Vatican's secret archives. To those who see the Vatican through its rites and splendor, this archive may seem a mere trove of dusty scrolls. But to seekers, sleuths, and dreamers, it is a towering vault of humanity's saga-cradling truths, never meant to see light. Estimates claim it holds 53 miles of records, over 85 kilometers of paper-lined corridors, chronicling 1,200 years of the Church's journey. Within lie Queen Mary of Scotland's final cry for mercy, the Knights Templars' trial scripts and texts tied to Martin Luther's schism, each a thread in faith's vast tapestry. What captivates the imagination most is that despite the Vatican's claims of opening its archives to chosen scholars, whispers persist that the deepest truths, those entwined with divine foundations, cosmic anomalies or events beyond mortal grasp, lie entombed in forbidden chambers, untouched by any living soul. Tales murmur of unsent letters, scrolls chronicling unearthly wonders, and enigmatic relics hidden in secret crypts. Some dare to dream the archive's cradle band, ancient tomes, artifacts from distant stars, or maps charting truths humanity's heart is not yet ready to embrace. The Vatican denies it all, yet its silence only fans the flames of suspicion surrounding this guarded vault of wisdom. The trial of a departed soul. If power kindles madness in men's hearts, no tale burns brighter than the Vatican's 9th century saga. The Church was no mere sanctuary then, but a realm of crowns, plots, and purges, even of those claimed by death. In 897, a trial was summoned to judge a man long gone, Pope Formosus, who had slipped into eternity months before. His accuser, Pope Stephen VI, staged a grim spectacle. Formosus's corpse, unearthed and draped in papal splendor, was propped upon a throne before a council of clerics poised to condemn. A deacon, lending voice to the silent dead, answered charges in a chilling farce. This is no fable, history's pages bear its weight. Stephen accused Formosus of seizing the papacy unlawfully, though the charge's roots remained shadowed, steeped in bitter venom. The eerie trial ended swiftly with a verdict as strange: the deceased was guilty. His sacred deeds were erased, 3 fingers severed from his hand, his body dragged through Rome's streets and cast into the Tiber's embrace. Yet fate's cruel jest lingered. Stephen VI soon faced a mob's fury, was jailed and strangled. His successors, Romanus and Theodore II, ruled briefly, most meeting cryptic ends. This was no mere quirk, but a stark truth power. In the medieval Vatican wore no holy veil, a throne stained with the blood of those who came before, sacred wealth, and tarnished coins. Faith has long proclaimed that the divine must shun earthly gain, yet in the Vatican's heart, where spirituality entwines with gold, a different light flickers. Even hallowed emblems sometimes heed prophet's siren song. The Vatican is not only Catholicism's spiritual beacon, but a labyrinthine titan of finance. A startling revelation emerged: its indirect stake in Rocket Man, a film tracing Elton John's quest for love in a same-sex romance. No pope or cardinal ordained this. The Vatican Secretariat of State poured tens of millions of euros into the Centurion Global Fund, which backed Hollywood ventures, including this one. One might claim the Vatican was blind to the details, but with its meticulous stewardship of wealth, ignorance seems a frail excuse. Why venture at all? For centuries, the Vatican's riches, land art, and private banks have swelled with tendrils and firms often at odds with its creed. Yet rather than shun such paths, the Vatican cloaks them in silence, neither blessing nor spurning the dividends that flow. When sanctity meets sin, the Vatican bears Europe's highest crime rate, nay, the world's per capita. This sounds like folly, but numbers sing true. With a populace of roughly 1,000 clergy workers and staff, it logs 1 to 1.5 crimes per person yearly, a figure that would scream crisis elsewhere. Within its walls, truth shifts. Each year, 18 million pilgrims and tourists flood this sacred sliver of earth. Amid the throng, holiness falters and thieves weave their craft. Stolen wallets, snatched phones, and ticket scams inflate the crime rate to absurd heights. This paradox whispers a deeper query. Does sacred ground deemed untouchable become fertile for misdeeds? The Vatican Catholicism's pulsing heart draws millions to pray, seek pardon, and find hope. Yet it remains a mortal realm where light and shadow dance. To grasp this is to see that faith thrives not in flawless purity, but in embracing truth, however bitter. You may doubt these tales or hold the Vatican as faith's unshakable star. But if they stirred a moment's reflection, share your thoughts below. To wander further into such mysteries, hit subscribe and ring the bell. I'll meet you in the next tale.